What's up, everybody, and welcome to the ASA Brigade, a place where you can hear about all sorts of anime. I am one of your hosts, Mikey Shiota, and joining me as always is...
Icicle Prism, hello!
Welcome back to another rousing episode. Pull up a seat, come look at our knickknacks that we have on this shelf to our right over here.
Yes, look at everything here. Shout out if you know what it is in the comments.
So thank you all for the positive reactions to our very first episode. You and I are polar opposites. It was really great to get back into the podcasting game with that one, and I'm glad y'all were enjoying that one too.
Yes, thank you all for the response, and I hope y'all enjoy the new podcast we got going on today.
Oh, baby, because we got a big one to talk about. Probably one of the biggest animes of the year for us so far. This is Cosmic Princess Kaguya, which came out in January 2026.
Yes, and didn't they announce this back in November of last year?
Yeah, announced it back in November of last year after being in development since 2022.
Yeah, so they got this out in about 3 years, which is crazy time-wise.
And it's kind of crazy because I remember only hearing about the announcement when it happened and then seeing one clip of it, which we'll talk about later, and I was thinking, oh, this could be nice. And then we watched it when it dropped on Netflix, and it became the biggest thing to us this year so far.
Yes, the biggest movie we've watched this year, so that's a good sign.
So before we get right into it, Miss Prism, don't you have a little bit of a tale to tell us to set the stage here?
Yes, so this story is called Cosmic Princess Kaguya. So let me tell you the tale of the bamboo cutter. There once was an old bamboo cutter that had no children. He would go out, cut bamboo, bring it back to his family day after day. One day, he found a shining bamboo, and then he cut it, and he found a tiny baby inside. She was only a few inches tall. He brought her back to his wife, and they raised her, and in a span of 3 months, she became a beautiful woman. But word of her began to spread, and everybody wanted her hand in marriage. So, the bamboo cutter kept cutting bamboo, and then he found gold in there. So, he became a very wealthy man, and they moved to a bigger place. And everybody kept wanting to see Princess Kaguya. They would stand outside their residence just to get a peek of her. And eventually, 5 samurai wanted to see her. So, she gave them all impossible tasks. Like trying to find the bowl of Buddha, or trying to slay a dragon and get the crown on its head. 3 of them tried to get forgeries, 1 of them died, 1 gave up. And then, the Emperor found Princess Kaguya and tried to get her to come to his palace. She said no because she couldn't leave the grounds, for she might disappear. So he came to her, and they started to have a bit of a thing. Then, Kaguya tells him that she has to go back to the moon. So, the Emperor tries to defend her with 2,000 soldiers, but it's not enough. They take Princess Kaguya. They say that she had punishment for something that happened up there in wherever she came from, and they take her back, putting a robe on her, which makes her forget everything that happened on Earth. She gives the Emperor a elixir of immortality, but he doesn't take it. He then writes her a letter, takes it to Mount Fuji, burns it, and that is supposedly why Mount Fuji smolders to this day.
Definitely one of the long-standing Japanese fables to, explain Mount Fuji.
Yes, this whole story is meant to be an allegory for, hey, pay attention to your kids, they won't be young forever. And it's one of the older tales, which, let's just say some of the adaptations have a bit of a different spin on her tragic fate.
Definitely. I'm sure a lot of you out there listening to this story right now remember Studio Ghibli's version done by the late, great Isao Takahata back in 2013, which is, by the way, a fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Yes, it is extremely faithful, and it adds a few things and changes a few things that we'll get into later.
Yes, I will say that a lot of those changes are from Takahata himself because he felt the original story, when he read it as a child, didn't click with him in certain ways, and he wanted to fix some of those little issues, those little quibbles that he had back then.
Yes. But we get ahead of ourselves. So, wasn't that a nice tale, Mikey?
That was a very lovely tale. I love the tale of, the girl growing up from a little babby all the way up to a fully grown woman, telling off all those samurai because she didn't want to marry any of them. A very nice tale. But what if it were Yuri? Maybe make it a little bit better. At least, 25% better.
What if it made the bamboo cutter into a 16-year-old girl?
Not this old geezer.
So, welcome to Cosmic Princess Kaguya.
And here be spoilers here, folks. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, go watch it. We'll wait.
There will be spoilers for Cosmic Princess Kaguya and the Ghibli film, and I guess the myth, but you just heard that, so sorry. Spoilers for a 1,000-year-old freaking myth.
It's like spoiling Paul Bunyan or something.
Epic of Gilgamesh, spoilers! Oh my goodness.
But let's just set the stage for CPK over here.
Yes, so we start with this girl called Iroha. She lives in Tokyo because she moved there from her... She used to live with her mother, and then she moved to Tokyo because they did not have a good relationship together. So she tries to be a model student. She always raises her hand when a teacher asks for somebody. She works a part-time job. She gets great grades. She wants to get in Tokyo U. She has all the... she has everything.
And she has our male living space of an apartment here.
Oh, yes. She has so many energy drinks just around her apartment. And there's a little note that says, one of these is 5 servings of pasta, apparently, which I don't believe.
Yeah, but basically saying that, oh yeah, you'll get the same nutrients from these energy drinks as you would a proper meal. You need to save all that food time for other stuff like work, school, and supporting your Oshi at these late night streams.
Dang, you ninja'd me. So, when she's not at school, Iroha does homework, studies, and, besides part-time job as well, she likes to game at night with her 2 friends, Roka and Mami, and they have this VR system where you put in 2 contact lenses and you see the game world over your real vision, sort of like augmented reality, and you play with 2 controllers. So she watches her Oshi, Yachiyo. Whenever she does a concert, Yachiyo is a VTuber who they say is an AI and is 8,000 years old.
Remember that.
So, Iroha lives her life to meet other people's expectations, whether it be her teachers, her mothers, her employers. Whoever it is, she wants to meet and exceed them.
And really, she doesn't have many goals of her own, like something that she wants to do personally.
She just wants to get the highest grade because that's expected of her in society.
And also, one thing, a little detail I like about this that really gets us over is her character design. As you look at Iroha, you just see that when you look in her face, she just has these perpetual bags underneath her eyes to show that she is constantly tired. And also the fact that she always ties her hair up in a bun. She never takes the time to style her hair or let it just flow. It's just always uptight and always very tired looking.
Mm-hmm. She only puts stuff together enough to meet the expectations of what she should look like, but she doesn't care afterwards. So one day, after her school and her shift, she is so exhausted, she's walking like an old man, and then she looks to the side and she sees 2 people go, "A shooting star!" And then she looks up, puts her hands together, and says, "Please give me money."
Yeah, you're missing one part of that tale there, Iroha.
No, don't ninja this. So, the star turns into a bolt of electricity that goes down telephone wires until it gets to the intersection Iroha is at and starts to shine rainbow like a gaming PC. And, what does she see with that shining telephone pole?
Opens it up, just, no.
She tries to close it, but the thing still forces its way open. Then she tries to close it again.
It's I will not be a part of a plot right now. I have school in the morning. Just whatever you want to do, stop it.
Yeah, no, Iroha wants to keep her head down. She does not want to be part of some adventure. She wants a normal end.
But we do see that she finds a little baby inside the telephone pole, representing the bamboo pole, so to say.
Yeah, that's Princess Kaguya inside. So Iroha tries to walk away, but then he hears some rustling around the area. She hears a drunk guy. She hears wild dogs, maybe.
I think we shouldn't be leaving this small, defenseless babby out in the middle of the night when anything could harm her.
Yep, so she grabs Kaguya, she runs upstairs, and she quickly has to figure out how to become a mother.
Congratulations, it's a girl.
So she runs inside her house, and her neighbors immediately start banging on the wall. And Iroha says this is the first time they've ever banged on the wall. She's never inconvenienced him once.
Yeah, like that really shows how she's been keeping her head down and not really affecting anything outside of her own little world right here.
Mm-hmm. So the baby's screaming. She's trying to figure out how to take care of a baby because she's never had to do this. She is 16 at the current time. So she thinks to herself, oh, there is a song that always makes me comfortable, and starts singing a Yachiyo song to her, and it comforts the baby. So she's like, okay, this is fine now. And then the next morning, she takes her out shopping for baby supplies, and she is baffled by how expensive it all is. Yeah, Iroha doesn't get any golden nuggets like the bamboo cutter did.
Nope, she has to take everything out of her own funds, which are very small, to say the least.
Yeah, she's tried to save all her meager paychecks all this time, but this quickly drains basically all of it. And Iroha doesn't realize this, but whenever Kaguya starts touching any kind of information device, whether it be an iPad or her laptop or the TV, she grows a little bit. And in one particular instance where she's just kind of messing with the Amazon Fire remote, Iroha takes her and just kind of falls on the ground with baby Kaguya in her hands. And then Kaguya grows because it was Iroha's love.
Yeah, I love how they really show that that's what causes her to grow. Getting all this information and also Iroha showing her that bit of affection.
Yes, because, spoiler, but Kaguya is basically a sapient machine program who is just learning everything about Earth as she sees the new information. Because over on the moon, it's very different, but we'll get into that later.
Mm-hmm. But it's a really clever way to show that, like, through information, that's how you grow. You get more information. You basically just get bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. So eventually, she grows after looking at the laptop into basically a teenager. And then she shakes Iroha, and then she says, I want food. Iroha stumbles over to the counter, saying, oh, yes, ma'am. What?
Who are you? Where'd you get here?
And then she just rushes over to all the baby stuff, boxes it up, pushes it to Kaguya, and goes, please leave.
It's like, what do you expect her to do with all of this baby stuff? She's not a baby anymore.
So all that money Iroha spent is now worthless.
Yeah, which, like, this was only, like, a day in real time here.
Yeah, this was maybe a day, maybe two, because Iroha says this was a 3-day weekend for her. So she gets it on, like, that Friday, and, Kaguya grows on, Saturday?
Yep.
So this wasn't long at all.
No.
And it's so funny because on the TV, someone said, everything's moving at a faster pace these days, and when Iroha asks how she grew so fast, Kaguya goes, well, everything's moving at a faster pace these days. She's just learning what's just shown to her.
She was raised by TV, and she can turn down TV.
Yeah, she's an iPad baby. How dare you, Iroha?
Keep her away from those Roblox.
Oh, my goodness. So, Kaguya says that she is from the moon while they're both eating omurice. Or should I say, Kaguya's eating omurice and then takes Iroha's portion because she's just so hungry.
Girl can't survive on just baby formula alone.
Yeah, no.
And I love how this is where we start to get the real connections to the original tale of the bamboo cutter in Princess Kaguya.
Oh, 1000%. So, Iroha hears that she's from the moon and asks, oh, what are you, Princess Kaguya? And then brings open a iPad version of the myth and then starts scrolling through. And then Kaguya goes, oh, is this old man meant to be you? And Iroha looks so offended. It's like, do I look like a 50-year-old man?
I mean, you should have seen her walking before she met you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's not impressed. So, she gets to the end where Kaguya's taken away, and then Kaguya keeps trying to move it, but there's no more story. And then Iroha just goes, that's it, happily ever after. And Kaguya hates this. She starts just kicking her legs, just, no, I want a happy end. Ah.
Which, yeah, like the original tale of the bamboo cutter and Princess Kaguya, it is a tragedy. Especially in the Ghibli version, that's, spoilers, that's how the film ends, with Kaguya leaving, and then after that, cut to credits, and we're done.
Mm-hmm. So, Kaguya makes a declaration. She is going to have a happy end, and she's going to take Iroha with her. And Iroha doesn't care. She flat out says she wants a normal end. She doesn't care for a happy end, because she has nothing to fight for. She just wants to meet expectations. She flat out says, my mom won't take me seriously unless I get into Tokyo University. There's no personal desire there besides just meeting her mother's supposed expectations.
Yeah, and if any of you don't know, Tokyo University is basically the same as, like, a kid here saying, oh, I need to get into Harvard or Yale.
Yes, one of the top, I think it's the top university in the country.
Yep.
So, Iroha tells Kaguya to hurry up and find a way back to the moon. She doesn't want anything to do with Kaguya right now. She has too much on her plate already. She wants her to leave. But Kaguya, of course, puts on the puppy dog eyes, leans in and kind of goes, you won't kick me out, right?
Please let me stay.
And then Iroha says she can stay.
Which, I love how this becomes a running thing. Iroha says one thing, and then Kaguya puts on the puppy dog look and says, oh, come on, please. And then Iroha relents and goes, okay.
Easy ha, as we hear later. But I love how this also pairs with the bamboo cutter, because the bamboo cutter sees the shining little baby and says, oh, this is a gift from the heavens. We need to take this girl in. Whereas Iroha here has too much on her plate already. She doesn't have that easy countryside life.
Mm-hmm.
She has everything to worry about, and she's still a child. She's not an old person.
Yeah, just like, oh, gift from the heavens? Did you save the receipt? I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
Take her back.
Yeah, she has no room in her life for a child right now. So, maybe a little bit of a commentary on the current state of having kids, maybe.
Yeah. And also I love the comparison to how we saw it in the Ghibli version, where when we first see little Kaguya come out of the bamboo pole, she's in her full, like, robes and garbs and everything. She already looks like a princess, and that's why the bamboo cutter himself is treating her like a princess, like, oh, she's holier, I can't touch her, she's just too perfect.
Yes, while Kaguya here has a regular, like, baby jumper on when they find her.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, Iroha does not care about this crazy moon stuff. She just wants to go back to her normal life.
Also, another thing that in the later parts of the original tale, Kaguya gets dressed up in, like, the most fanciest of fancy robes and kimonos and everything, whereas throughout most of the movie, our Kaguya is just dressed in, like, a black t-shirt and short shorts when she's at home.
Yeah, because she doesn't care to have all that fancy stuff on. But anyways, this leads into Kaguya starting to learn about the world. Because initially, Iroha wants her to stay in the apartment because she's from the moon. People might question who this moon girl is and dissect her or something.
Yeah, because you're basically technically an alien.
Yep, and Iroha, for all her grumbling, doesn't want someone hurt on her account. So, Iroha goes to school and says school's more important than life itself. And then leaves Kaguya there, who is crying like, no, take me with you. I don't want to be here alone in this crappy apartment.
Which also, I love before that, there's a scene where Iroha wakes up and just sees the empty apartment and just goes, oh, she left. And then you see the little sink cupboard open and Kaguya is just hiding there like, you found me.
She's such a menace. I love Kaguya. So, Iroha goes to school, sees her two friends, and when the two bring her to a cafe, they get her to a place that has really nice pancakes. And who is tailing them but a certain cosmic princess?
Just sneaking behind trees, being all stealthy.
Yep. So, they go into the sweet shop. Iroha gets a bunch of pancakes, and Kaguya just steps in front and just takes one of the pancakes.
Yoink.
And then her two friends are like, oh, who's this? And then Iroha just goes, oh, that's Kaguya. And Kaguya just goes, Kaguya, yes. Because she's never had a name before now.
That's right.
So, compare this to, say, the original myth, or even the Ghibli version, where it wasn't the father who gave Kaguya her name because he didn't feel worthy to do that. He gave it to some, ceremonial guy?
Yes, a ceremonial name raider.
Yeah, who gave Kaguya the name. This is someone who Kaguya already loves.
Mm-hmm. And furthers the connection between the two.
Yes, because that's Iroha's name that she gave her, not just some thing that just was imposed upon her. This will be a running theme. Kaguya gets more agency in this film.
Definitely, definitely.
So, they leave the restaurant. Kaguya is so excited because those were delicious pancakes, because before now, she only had the omurice that Iroha made her, and that morning, she gave her just water and flour pancakes, which were good enough for Iroha, but Kaguya found them disgusting.
Yeah, she took one bite and just went, this is gross.
But then she got the good pancake, and she loved it so much. So, they leave the restaurant, and then Iroha just takes a deep breath and goes, "Are you insane?"
Like, what if someone found you and dissected you right here and right now?
Yep, trying to be like the mom character, but Kaguya's having none of it.
It's like, what? I just wanted to see you because I get so lonely when I'm at home without you.
Because, she's new here. She has no connections besides Iroha. So, Kaguya puts it on herself to start cooking meals for Iroha and herself because she wants to give Iroha some good food. So she makes this big spread of food that's delicious, and Iroha is just mentally going through, like, this costs this much, this costs this much, this costs this much, and then she's just baffled. And then Kaguya feeds her a little bit and goes, "I hate how delicious this is."
Like, what the hell? This is so good. It just starts crying as she's eating all this delicious food.
Because Iroha never had food this good before, like, her mother.
Mm-hmm.
She was fine just drinking like, energy drinks and, like, bad pancakes.
Just, like, she only eats to just, like, get nutrients. It's not something to enjoy.
Yes. So, Kaguya then brings out a pair of those contacts that Iroha goes to game with. And Iroha goes, "Okay, I'll take you to Tsukuyomi, this virtual world that I hang out in at night." So they put the contacts in, Kaguya holds onto Iroha's wrist, and they go inside. And they see this big, wide area with water and a big torii gate, and Kaguya's alone. And then she sees who?
She sees Yachiyo, Iroha's Oshi, who is the head of all of Tsukuyomi. She comes in as the person to greet her and says, "Welcome to this world, and now you need to design your avatar."
Yep, so they go through a bunch of things. Kaguya decides her own appearance, which, by the way, is another thing that's different from the myth that I love, because in the myth and in the Ghibli version, everybody decides what Kaguya looks like. They give her the fine silks, even though she doesn't want them. They blacken her teeth. They pluck her eyebrows. She has no agency in this. Kaguya here decides what her virtual avatar looks like, no matter what.
Yes, and I love the design of her avatar, and also Iroha's avatar, too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. So, she designs her avatar, she goes to the gate, and she pops out with bunny ears for, the rabbit in the moon, and blonde hair, and looks just amazing. And Iroha just looks at her and goes, "Blonde?"
Blonde? Really?
Wow, embarrassing.
And also we should mention that she has a little Poochie, a little Inu Doge with her that she got from this Tamagotchi thing that she bought in the real world.
Yep, and then she programmed herself to have more functionality in the virtual world. So there's a little dog running around there now. And yes, Inu Doge, dog, I love it.
It's so cute.
Anyways, so they go to this concert for Yachiyo, and Iroha is just so in love with it. She's just staring at Yachiyo the entire time. And of course, Kaguya is annoyed at this, because she wants Iroha to pay attention to her.
Yeah, she's getting a little bit jealous here.
Yep, this will be a running theme. So, Yachiyo is on top of this gigantic torii gate, and just puts on this amazing performance. And I love this song. And after the song, Yachiyo announces a certain Yachiyo Cup. The prize being, you can collaborate on a concert with Yachiyo herself, which Iroha is in love with, but she doesn't think she can do that. So, what is a Yachiyo Cup, Mikey?
The Yachiyo Cup is basically a popularity contest done by all of the different streamers and gamers of the world of Tsukuyomi, because in this world, it's basically like Twitch, a whole world just based on Twitch, where you can do streams of, like, anything you want. You can have groups that are like a boy band, or you can have people who just play video games, or people who just do chat streams, and fans vote on them, who they say is their favorite, and whoever gets the most votes at the end of the Yachiyo Cup wins and gets to collab with her, which is the biggest thing for anyone who calls himself a streamer. Like, collaborating with a big name in the industry. It's like, say, oh, you can win a competition to collaborate with Iron Mouse or Amelie.
Yeah, even higher than that, because Yachiyo is the administrator of Tsukuyomi. This whole virtual space is Yachiyo's, this program that can just divide herself endlessly, which we do see after she announces the Yachiyo Cup. There's little Yachiyos that go around and, say hi, everybody. And then, after that, we see a certain wagon go by. And who comes out of the wagon?
Coming out of the wagon is some of the top streamers in all of Tsukuyomi, and also a boy band called Black Onyx, led by Mikado, Rai, and Noe.
Yes, and they're all looking like Onis, and they are one of the top people, as you said, and they are pro gamers. So they do gaming streams, and we'll touch on that later. And they flat out say they will win. And Iroha is so annoyed at them, while Kaguya flat out declares that she will win, despite never having streamed before.
Yep, this is the first time she came into Tsukuyomi, has seen everything, but she wants to win because she saw how Iroha was looking at Yachiyo, and she's thinking, well, I want her to look at me like that. So, I want to win. We want the ball, and we're going to score.
Yep. And of course, when she declared that she's going to win, Mikado just kind of whistles and is like, wow, she's got some fighting spirit.
Yeah, a little bit of spunk in this one. A little moxie.
So, they leave, and then Kaguya immediately starts to learn how to stream.
And I love how we have like a montage of how Kaguya streams, and I love how it starts off as like really scuffed, where she does have a VTuber model, and it's this really cheap MS Paint looking model version of her.
And she's speaking in a monotone, and then she reveals herself at the very end accidentally, and it's completely scuffed. But now that we've set the stage for who Kaguya and all the important players are, let's talk about the production a little bit.
So yes, this is directed by Shingo Yamashita, a relative newbie when it comes to anime directing, as this is actually his first ever feature-length project that he's directed. And before that, he was known for making OPs for Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, and the reboot of Urusei Yatsura.
Yeah, he also did the animation for that pain fight in Naruto Shippuden that everybody comments on.
Yeah, which is it's a pretty sick fight.
Yeah, so, and we reference a Yachiyo performance. That was by Naoya Nakayama, who has done so many different live performances for anime. He's worked on the Chika dance, I'm sure you've seen that. Idol MV for Oshinoko. He's in the Oshinoko EDs. And he's also worked on, for our purposes, Love Live Superstar and Love Live Nijigasaki performances.
Yeah, which is amazing, because if any of you have been following Love Live, and once you got to Niji and Superstar, you definitely noticed that there was a shift in how the concert performances were portrayed compared to Muse and Aqua, especially in Niji, where they feel more music video-like and a lot more stylized.
Oh yeah, it's not just like pointing camera at a concert. There's full-on like production. There is effects going on. There is stuff happening in the background.
So you have Nakayama to thank for that, like someone who can really bring in that, that razzle-dazzle, that pizzazz, that fanfare to these performances.
Yes, and to add to the star power, they also worked with several Vocaloid producers. So these are the names of the people: Rio, 40MP, and this is all the songs that they worked on through the film. And this is also the songs that they made for Vocaloid. So they put their blessing in for the version that's sung by the voice actresses.
Which is great, because I remember when we were first watching this film, we'll get to it later, but there was a scene where one of these songs was playing, and then we were like, wait a minute, that sounds familiar. Is that? It is!
Yes! We'll get to it later, but at that moment we went, okay, there is more going on here. So.
And the connection to this film and Vocaloid and Miku as a whole doesn't stop there, as you'll see.
Yes, this film loves both VTubers and Vocaloid so much.
So how does one become a VTuber here?
So, after her scuffed debut, Kaguya tries to make her own intro with the keyboard that Iroha has, and Iroha tells her not to do that. Kaguya then asks her to play something on the keyboard, since it's her keyboard. Iroha almost touches it, and then remembers back to a funeral where she played the music at it, and she has trouble pressing the keys again. But then she does it, for Kaguya's sake, and she loves it, Which Iroha is so embarrassed by because no one's ever been this kind to her playing since her dad died.
Yeah, like, it's really sweet because you can definitely tell that since then she hasn't once touched that keyboard or even thought about touching that keyboard.
Mm-hmm. And that's because her mother said, if you're not going to do this professionally, don't do it.
Mm-hmm. And also, considering Iroha is someone who plays up to people's expectations, she's like, okay, mom doesn't really want this unless I'm serious. I guess I won't touch it anymore.
Mm-hmm. She won't fight for what she loves, so she'll just drop it. Because her mother has the mindset of, oh, you need a career. If this is not furthering your career, who cares?
Like, what good is fun if it doesn't get results?
Mm-hmm. You're just gonna be homeless if you can play a keyboard then.
It's like, oh, but you can still have fun in your little box in an alley.
Mm-hmm. So, Kaguya starts to stream and gather followers. And this is another thing that I love in comparison to the original myth. In the original myth, Kaguya is seen as this precious prize needing to be kept away in a locked room somewhere where all these suitors can't see her even though they're looking at the property. This Kaguya puts herself out there as a VTuber and makes friends with both Roka, Mami, Iroha, so many other people, and makes the world aware, I am Princess Kaguya. I am here.
Yeah, she starts to gather her own little following too. Fans really start to love her and start boosting up her chats a bit more. And yeah, I love how this juxtaposes the original tale, because in the Ghibli version, anytime Kaguya isn't with, like, say, her parents or her servant, she is always sequestered behind a partition in another room, or the biggest one of all is in the film, there's a moment where she gets named Kaguya, and her father puts on a big celebration, bringing in all the big nobles in town to celebrate. But Kaguya isn't a part of that celebration. She is in a back room somewhere with her servant girl, while her dad, the bamboo cutter, is just out schmoozing with, like, all the big nobles.
Yeah, because in the original bamboo cutter, it's about his happiness and not Kaguya's. He's getting, rich and famous because of her, while Iroha here wants nothing to do with this. She just wants to live her normal life, and all this VTuber stuff is what Kaguya wants to do. It's never a question of what Kaguya needs to do.
And of course, Iroha does get her arm twisted to join in on that, but even then, she basically kind of sequesters herself by putting on this big fox costume to hide herself because she doesn't want to be seen.
But yeah, we'll touch on that a little bit later once we get closer to the game stuff. But Iroha is a pushover here because Kaguya starts to use her streaming money to buy a bunch of props for this and starts to fill the little apartment with all this crap that she's using for her streams.
And it's super cramped. Like, there are multiple shots where it's like an overhead look of the apartment. You see Kaguya in the bottom right-hand corner at a little laptop hunched over doing her streams, while Iroha is on the far left surrounded by all of this shit and trying to sleep. Like, I think there's even one shot where you see this giant totem-looking Dakimakura that's, like, right next to her. It's like, how are you even getting any room in here? Also, Kaguya, where do you sleep?
Well, we see Iroha is sleeping on the floor, so I'm assuming she gave her bed to Kaguya. So, they go to the beach eventually, and they're with Roka and Mami, and Iroha is just sitting under a umbrella because she doesn't want any of the sun damage on her skin, while Kaguya is, of course, playing with all the crabs and on the water and all that stuff. And Roka and Mami flat out tell Kaguya, hey, Iroha's looking a little happier now. What spell did you cast on her?
Which is really sweet to see, because this is the moment you realize that without Kaguya around, Iroha would have just kept living this very sad, normal, just simple life pretty much for the rest of her life, probably.
Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, we do see, before this point, Iroha does involve herself more and more with Kaguya's streaming. Even though she doesn't have time for it, she makes time for it. But she doesn't want to be famous, so, like you said, she put on the little fox costume.
And all of this is just to make Kaguya happy. Because, once again, she gives her, like, the little puppy dog eyes of, like, wanting to help her out. And then, Easy Hot over here just goes, okay, fine, I guess.
Yes, and one of the lines that I adore, where is at the beach, Iroha's dealing with a bunch of crabs trying to pinch her. It's not important. They go to Kaguya and go, she could have disappeared at any second if you didn't show up. So they were so concerned about Iroha potentially overworking herself and just potentially disappearing.
Yeah, which also kind of puts that whole little pancake date earlier in the film to perspective, because I can totally buy that Roko and Mami have done this numerous times, like try to get Iroha involved in like anything to just tell her, hey, stop focusing on school and work so much, have some fun, because we don't want anything bad to happen to you.
Yeah, you could tell they have to be a bit forceful, because later in the film, when Iroha's not answering their texts, Roka flat out says, we're about to break into your apartment because you wouldn't talk to us.
Yep.
So you have to be a bit forceful with someone like Iroha, who just doesn't really take care of herself that much.
And that's why they're so wowed by Kaguya, because she's able to do that so easily without any pushback from Iroha.
Yes, because Kaguya actually lives with Iroha, so Roka and Mami can do what they can, but they can't exactly be with her 24/7 because they got their own lives to deal with. You know, Mami's a food streamer, Roka does whatever she does.
Yeah, so they can really see what Kaguya really means to Iroha, and they're really appreciative of that. And I'm like, that's so sweet. I love that we, once again, you know, calling back to polar opposites, having supportive best friends here.
Yes, there's no drama here. Anyways, so we mentioned it earlier, but Iroha had a father. What happened to him?
So we do get a flashback where we see little baby Iroha playing with her father, and we can see that he was the one who introduced her to music. We can assume that he was, say, a music producer. And in this same shot, we do see Iroha's mom at the table, you know, basically looking like she's doing bills, bouncing a checkbook. So you can assume that she is the breadwinner of the family, whereas the father was the person who works for his passions, and he passed that passion on to Iroha. And eventually, he passed away, and her mother, being the more career-minded one, told Iroha that, what we said earlier, that if you're not going to go pro, then it isn't worth doing. You know, if you're going to do something, you need to bring results. As the film goes along, we start to realize why her mother is doing this, because it seems like she's trying to push Iroha so that Iroha can push her back, show that she does have something to fight for, that she does have something that she is passionate about. But throughout her childhood up until now, Iroha never did that.
Yeah, no matter what it was, she wouldn't push back at all. Whereas, say, her brother would come in and say, hey, don't worry, Iroha was going to be fine. She has stuff that she loves. And he would kind of protect her from the mother a little bit.
Mm-hmm. There's a really good scene where we see that little Iroha is being considered for the lead in a school play, and then her mom goes, oh, so you're going to be the lead? And then Iroha goes, actually, I gave the role to my friend because she told me she wanted it. And then that gets mom a little bit upset, and that's what causes Big Bro to come in and defend her.
Yep, because Iroha thinks about others way more than her own well-being. That's just how she is. She has a lot of empathy in her heart, even though it makes her all grumpy with Kaguya.
Yep, yeah, case in point with Kaguya. Like, sure, she gets a little grumbly about it, but she still does it because she knows it makes her happy.
Mm-hmm. So, one day, her brother says, I'm going to Tokyo in a week, and he just leaves. Whereas, when Iroha says, I want to go to Tokyo, her mother makes a big deal about it. And says, you can only go if you pay for your own tuition and your own board. She's giving no support. So she wanted Iroha to do a similar thing of just saying, I am going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we see how the brother left. He just goes to the door and says, I'm leaving for Tokyo. And the mom goes, oh, a little bit early for that. And he says, nope, it's perfect time. And then leaves. Whereas you can assume based on how Iroha described talking to her mother into letting her go to Tokyo, it was more like, instead of saying, I'm going to Tokyo, she went, Mom, can I go to Tokyo? And then that led into a big argument and fight about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, her mom wants her to say, I'm going.
Yes,
like, you need to be passionate about it.
Yes, because the reason why her brother is going to Tokyo is because he wants to pursue his career as a pro gamer and a pro streamer. And he had that passion. He flat out gave a controller to Iroha when growing up and gave her that passion for gaming that she still has to this day.
Very similar to how her father gave her the passion for music by having her play on the keyboard with him.
Yes, because passion is infectious. If you allow someone in on your hobbies, they might be into them because people want connections with other people they love.
Yeah, don't be a gatekeeper. Like, invite people in.
Mm-hmm. So, Iroha, now that she has no support from her mother, She starts at this tiny apartment that she is still at with just a mat and a few other things she managed to bring with herself, and starts to overwork herself because she wants to prove to her mother that she can support herself, because she thinks her mother is just being rude, and Iroha doesn't want to be the loser in this situation.
Yep, she's just all like, all right, you want me to do this? Then I'm gonna do the best damn job I can.
So, Iroha, it didn't have it good coming to Tokyo.
Yeah.
And we flat out see this with Roka, Mami, and Kaguya, who all three of them say, wow, my parents pamper me compared to you. And even Kaguya screams, I'm an alien and I know that this is wrong.
Yeah, right?
But Iroha just thinks, oh, you wouldn't understand, because she just wants to have her own independence.
Yep, she doesn't want to explain herself. She's just like, look, just let me do my thing. I know what I'm doing here.
Except she doesn't, because she is 16.
Yep, 16, living on her own and working herself to death.
Mm-hmm. So, now that we've established the family dynamic, let's talk about games.
Oh, time to play some games!
So, there is this game in the virtual world of Tsukuyomi called Kassen, where it's, if you've seen League of Legends, you'll know what this is. There are 3 lanes, there are mooks that go between the 3 lanes, and it is 3v3, or I've seen 1v1, but not a whole lot. But basically, you try and destroy the other team's tower, and Kaguya decides to play this, and both Roka and Mami teach her how to do it, whereas Iroha kept trying to do her schoolwork and not play games with Kaguya. And then, when they're all hanging out inside of a little, what's it called, house?
Yeah, little house by the lake here.
Kaguya looks at their streaming and sees they're still not the top, even though Iroha and Kaguya are, they're rising stars, but not there yet. And she flat out goes, we should challenge Black Onyx. And Iroha goes, no, they are pro gamers. We will be destroyed. And then, surprise, surprise, they get a scroll saying, hey, we're challenging Kaguya.
And then, this leads up to a big fight between Kaguya, Iroha, and Black Onyx. And also I want to mention before that even though Iroha doesn't want to get involved with this gaming stuff, we do see that even then, she's still really good at it and a really good fighter in this world, because we get this film's version of Kaguya's impossible task, because even though she's not at the top of the rankings, she's still garnering her own little fan base here, and that includes people in her chat constantly asking her to marry her.
Yep, so let me give some context for this. She starts to stream, and her chat is one day saying, marry me, marry me, marry me, and Iroha's behind her. She gets so mad, leans over, and starts banning people who are asking to marry Kaguya.
It's like, nope, 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 block, block, block. Mods, invert their balls.
And then, just out of the blue, Kaguya goes, oh, if someone can beat Iroha in Kassen, I'll marry them.
And I love how this leads to a little part of the mini montage here where Iroha is just battering all of these different mooks that are just running up to Kaguya making kissy faces, and then she just subdues them with a 69 hit combo and just launches them in the air. But it shows that, yeah, even though she doesn't have time for this, she is really good at this game.
Yes, and I love how this plays out, because Kaguya made that challenge, it basically forces Iroha to play games with her.
Yeah.
Because Mami and Roka taught Kaguya how to play. But to get Iroha to do it, she needed to put something there that Iroha wants to fight for. In this case, Kaguya's hand.
It's well, if you don't want me to marry some rando chat member, then you better protect me, Ito-P. Oh no, here comes one now. What are you gonna do?
Also, if anybody has seen Utena or Gundam G-Witch, this will seem very familiar.
Oh yeah, Iroha is basically the holder of Tsukuyomi. Where's Guel's VTuber model coming in here?
Oh, his name's Mikado. They even got red hair.
Oh my god, you're so right.
But we get ahead of ourselves. So they have multiple beatdowns of randos, and then they get that challenge from Mikado. So they get to the arena, and originally they were going to fight Iroha, Kaguya, and Mami, but Mami has two Oshis, Kaguya and Mikado. So when she sees Mikado, she swoons for him and falls over, and then Kaguya rushes over and takes some melon bread from her costume.
This is something we didn't notice the first time around, but like the second time we watched it for this episode, I think it was like, I just noticed, wait a minute, what did she grab right there? Just because Mami on her costume has like a bunch of different like food items, like onigiri and melon bread. And then Kaguya's like, Mami, are you okay? Just plucks the melon bread from her costume and puts it in her pocket. Which is like, what are you doing with that? You know there's no taste in this world, so why are you stealing her food?
Because Kaguya is just that random, man.
And of course, Mami would swoon over Mikado because look at him and his two friends here rolling in on these tiger motorcycles, looking all cool and badass.
Yes, they are a massive boy band. It's amazing. Like the more feminine one, Noi, has like a hula hoop, like massive chakram hula hoop, and it just does hula hooping and slices apart mooks as they ride. While Mikado has a big what's called Oni club that turns into a gun.
Yep, and also he's standing on two tiger motorcycles with his arms folded, doing like the Gurren Lagann Gynax pose.
He is so extra. He's amazing. So they start fighting, and Iroha is still in her little fox costume. And then when she starts to lose against Mikado, she takes it off, and then he goes, I knew it was you, sis. That's right, Mikado is Iroha's brother.
Yeah, he's the brother who left to Tokyo to become a big streamer, man.
And it sounds like Iroha was aware of this because she was annoyed at him the whole time. She tried to hide herself when he came in on that wagon.
Yeah, that's right. Doesn't want to have any connection with her family, and also she feels a little hurt by her brother because she feels that in her head she believes, oh, he left me and couldn't protect me against mom.
Yes, she saw him as someone who was able to get away and be successful and learn how to talk with her mother, while she couldn't. So they start to fight, and before that point, though, who became their third?
So to replace Mami, they were like, oh, we needed someone to take her place, and then out of nowhere comes Yachiyo to take her place.
Yes, Yachiyo comes out of a little box and says, oh, I helped you the last time, Mikado, so I'm gonna help out Iroha now.
It's only fair since we did that little competition earlier.
Yep, and of course, Iroha is baffled at this because her Oshi is going to be fighting on the same team as her and Kaguya. And of course, Kaguya is so annoyed because Iroha's not paying attention to Yachiyo, not her.
Which I should mention that throughout this competition, Kaguya makes a ton of great faces trying to look tough. Because like there's the opening shot where she's like, her big weapon is like a giant hammer that has rockets on the back of it. She's standing on top of like the head of the hammer and is just making like a delinquent face, just going, hey, I'm from Cromartie High School.
Yeah, she wants nothing to do with Mikado wanting to marry her, which, as a side note, Mikado actually probably does want to marry Kaguya because we get a shot of his room, and he's got a Kaguya plushie, he's got 3 streams of hers going at the same time on his monitors, and he's just watching her saying, wow, you're kind of crazy.
Yep, so you can tell that from the start he was enamored with her.
Because her declaration against Yachiyo during that concert really spoke to him.
And then he remembers, oh, you put out that challenge that if you can beat Itopi, I can win your hand in marriage. Well, is that challenge still available? I think it is.
Yep, and so, back to the fight though. Mikado tells Iroha to return her mother's calls. And Iroha wants nothing to do with this. She just wants to shut her mother out because she feels betrayed by her mother and wants to make it on her own. She doesn't want her mother's help or his help because she wants to keep everything on herself. So, we also get the impression that Mikado and Yachiyo might be potentially colluding in this battle.
Yeah, there are moments in this fight where we see that Yachiyo is busy off on her own taking care of Noi and Rai. And we also get shots so that Mikado can just focus on Kaguya and Iroha by himself. And then there's like one real interesting shot where it's Mikado running, and then right next to him is Yachiyo. And he could have easily fought her right now, but no, they are just running side by side towards the goal here.
Also, it seems very convenient that the moment that Kaguya says they should fight Black Onyx, a challenge seems to come in, and there wasn't anybody that was messaging him. But maybe there's an administrator that's always listening in Tsukuyomi?
Always listening, always remembering, always knowing when certain things are going to happen.
So, we're thinking maybe Yachiyo had something to do with Mikado here. Also because she said, I helped you last time, Lord Mikado. So, she actually had contact with him before.
Yeah, so maybe this was a bit of a quid pro quo kind of thing. Like, all right, you help me with my own battle here, and then I can do what you want, as long as you help me with me trying to help my sister here.
Yep. So, Black Onyx takes the first round, and then Kaguya goes, okay, we need to try something new. And then she disappears into the sky. And what happens?
We see that she's able to get to the goal and destroy it because she used that little melon bread that she got from Mommy's costume to feed the dragon that is just meant to be set dressing in this battlefield, but it turns out is actually like a real part of the battlefield.
Yes, Kaguya knew that her class didn't have any stealth skills, so she literally just like breaks the environment, makes a friend with the dragon, and gets to the other side of the map before they can stop her.
So her stealing that melon bread from Mommy's costume actually came back. Chekhov's melon bread here.
And then I love this moment because, like Iroha going, oh, you're not like Princess Kaguya, she flat out tells Mikado, am I not like what I am on streams? Am I too clever for that? And he is baffled because he thought that she was an idiot.
Yep, because her streams really show that, because from the first moment where her first stream was really scuffed to little bits where she accidentally shows herself on camera, or she's out in real world trying to play with a rocket that completely fails.
Yes, because that is her persona online. That isn't who she is in real life.
Mm-hmm. But Iroha knows exactly how Kaguya operates because she lives with her 24/7.
Yep, so as they go into the third round, the tiebreaker, Iroha and Kaguya start to develop a bit of a team here. So eventually Yachiyo blows up both Noi and, what was the other guy's name?
Rai.
She blows them both up, so it's just Mikado, Kaguya, and Iroha left. They go into an arena, and before that point, Yachiyo tells Iroha, hey, you have a partner here as well. And that kind of makes Iroha go, oh, I should probably rely on Kaguya some more. So Kaguya and Iroha actually tag team here against Mikado.
Which is a really great scene, and also spectacularly animated too.
Oh yes, like, this is insane. The animators who have worked on the final battle and some of this have worked on, say, Frieren Season 2's battles.
Yeah, it's insane, and you can get that vibe, especially from the sweeping camera motions, because there is one shot where we see Iroha and Kaguya constantly circling Mikado, and the camera is just going completely nuts, trying to follow both of them, doing zoom in, zoom outs, and especially the cool part where they swap weapons in the middle of this fight to throw Mikado off.
Yes, because Mikado, we hear his thoughts, and he thinks, okay, only Kaguya can blow up the tower, so Iroha is going to sacrifice herself and then try and get Kaguya to the goal. They don't do that, because Iroha put her weapon on Kaguya's hammer so that it would retract and tie up Mikado, and that's how they managed to actually beat him, this pro gamer.
Yeah, like that was so cool.
Yes, like Iroha flat out yells, you don't think I know how Kaguya thinks? So she knows, but he doesn't, because he only knows the virtual side of Kaguya.
Yeah, and I love the little look he gets when he's defeated right here. As if to say, I guess I don't know her as much. Glad you found someone that you can really know.
Yes, and I love this because this isn't explicitly said, but I'm pretty sure Mikado and Yachiyo teamed up to try and make Iroha rely on Kaguya more.
Yep.
Because he knows that Iroha wants to put everything on herself. So if forced to rely on others, they can develop more of that bond.
And also, Mikado also wants to help Iroha, speak up for herself, stand up for herself, push back when she's being pushed. Not just let people tell her what to do and expect, like, oh, I should do this thing. Like, no, do what you want. I am pushing you right now. Please push me.
This kind of goes into something that I wanted to talk about for this main topic here, where, sure, Kaguya is called Kaguya, but the tale of this isn't to show Kaguya go through the tale. It's to un-Kaguyafy Iroha, because she starts the film off with no desires of her own, trying to stay in what people think of her, and just kind of going until the day she dies, until she disappears. No, Kaguya comes in to give her something to fight for, to undoom her from her narrative, and just basically show her that the world is beautiful.
Yeah, it's super great, and also really shows the juxtaposition of, like, this and the original tale, because also Iroha is also kind of the Kaguya here, and she's trying to un-Kaguya fire, and also in a way, they're also trying to take the bamboo cutter out of her, because in the original tale, and in the Ghibli version, the bamboo cutter himself is not a very sympathetic character, which is what Isao Takahata referenced when he was talking about the original tale, how he couldn't relate to this guy, and that, if anything, he's not a real good person. So it goes to show that you're trying to also make, our bamboo cutter XB an actual likable person, and also try to give them a reason to want to do something more than just this little humble life.
So they do defeat Mikado, but he had another life. So on the precipice of them winning, there was a bomb at the bottom of the tower, which blows up Kaguya, and Mikado just blows up their tower.
It's such a great bit. Like, everything's so wonderful and triumphant. Kaguya takes, like, a big swing of her hammer to blow up this bell, and then boom, just explodes her. And we just see her in one place looking like a Looney Tunes cartoon, all charred up and everything.
Her hammer's destroyed.
It's like, oh, hey, I had another guy. Anyway, I win.
So they win the competition, and then the Yachiyo Cup concludes, and when you know it, Iroha and Kaguya win the competition. So when Mikado and his boys come in and just kind of go, oh, well, I guess this isn't the way we wanted to win, so we're not going to take your hand in marriage.
It's like, it didn't really feel like a victory today, so you get this.
Yes, because even though he might love Kaguya secretly, he also loves his sister and knows that she loves Kaguya. So he's gonna step aside and allow her to have this happiness in her life.
Yeah, like, he looks at Iroha and goes, you can make Kaguya way more happier than I ever could.
And also, there's more than that, because Iroha asks if he can be the guarantor of their new apartment, because before this, Kaguya, with all her crap in the apartment, went, oh, can we live at this really expensive high-rise apartment? And Iroha just goes, no, we can't. And on that day, she basically just overworked herself into sickness. But now, after this, Mikado says, okay, I can be your guarantor. And they move into this big high-rise apartment where they have a lot more space to spread out, which is another parallel to the bamboo cutter. Because, sure, at the start, the bamboo cutter and his wife bring Kaguya to this big temple where it's millions of servants and all this other crapola. But it was empty, fake garden, fake everything. Kaguya wanted to go to this high-rise apartment because Iroha was getting annoyed at all of her crap.
Yeah, there's a more practical reason for wanting to, like, live, in the lap of luxury right here. Whereas in the original tale and in the Ghibli film, the bamboo cutter is like, well, we must live here because you're a princess, and this is how a princess lives, princess.
Yes.
And I must treat you as such. Whereas here, it's more practical because Iroha needs more space, and we need a place to put all of this garbage that Kaguya has bought.
Yeah, this apartment's not meant for two people. Anyways, so Iroha also hears people saying, oh, I'm a fan of Mikado. I'm a fan of Kaguya. Oh, Iroha, she seems kind of cool. It's the first time she is standing out, because before she was wearing that fox suit. Now she's revealed, and people love her.
Yeah, which I love to believe this is also another part of Mikado's plan, where he was trying to get Iroha to push back and be more passionate about something and stand up for herself, but also Since there was a bit where Yachiyo says, "Well, the competition is still going on," and this whole fight was broadcasted to the entirety of Tsukiyomi. So he was probably thinking, "Oh, even though I'm gonna win this, I'm gonna make my little sister and her girlfriend here look super, super strong, so that they would also still get votes in the end. That people would still love them and still recognize, oh, you're actually really, really cool. I'm gonna put you over there, brother."
Mikey loves wrestling, as you can tell. Anyway, so they move into this new apartment with Happy Synthesizer playing, and as two ex-Sekai players
Yeah.
we adored.
Yeah, I remember that bit where when we first watched this, we just heard the opening bits and we were like, wait a minute, is that? And then we hear Happy Synthesizer. It's like, oh my god, it actually is.
Yes, it's not the More Jump version, and we know Happy Synthesizer is a Miku song. We are aware, but we heard it from Sekai first.
Yes, I'm more used to hearing the vocals be like Ai Furihata and Yui Oguri.
Yep, so that song plays while they're setting up their new life. Iroha takes out all her math textbooks while she goes into the store and she sees a bunch of pancake mix, but the fancy mix, and she goes, well, might as well get it. And then Kage comes up behind her and hugs her. And it's like, oh, I don't want to stay home alone without you.
You can't ever escape me, P.
She is so attached to Iroha. I adore it. And
I also know that not only do they get the fancy pancake mix, but also in this montage we see them doing like handmade noodles too.
Yep, they're actually cooking together.
And it's so cute, and there's like a really cute bit where they're eating the noodles. Kaguya finishes first and does like the Chisato I'm an eel like dance there, and like Iroha actually laughs at that, like she's actually having fun.
Yeah, she's actually having a good time because she's connecting with Kaguya now, this person she told to just leave.
Yeah, like numerous times before this moment she's like, please leave, or is the moon coming back for you yet? But now it's like she can never live without her now.
Yes, I adore that so much. And also, despite Iroha having this crazy schedule, she decides when Kaguya asks her, hey, can we do something tomorrow? Even though she has a mock exam, she says yes. She's putting Kaguya over her freaking studies now.
Yeah, it's so cute. And like another really cute scene I love is we go into Iroha's room, which, by the way, I love how her bedroom is just made to look like her old apartment, even with the futon on the floor. And then Kaguya comes in, shows her the laptop saying, hey, what if we use this song that that's a work in progress on your laptop and make that our song that we do with Yachiyo? So they start to work on that, and then later that night, Kaguya is sleeping in the same futon as Iroha, and Iroha goes, why do we get two rooms again if you're just gonna do this? But then she gives like a little smile as Kaguya's cuddling up to her. It's so cute.
Yes, like Kaguya doesn't care if you have so much room. She wants to be with Iroha.
I love it. It's so sweet.
And Iroha is so happy to have Kaguya with her now. It brings us such a smile to her face. Oh my goodness. So during their big debut concert, their big collab concert with Yachiyo, before the concert, Iroha asks Yachiyo, hey, will you ever sing your debut song again? And Yachiyo looks over and just goes, it already reached the person it needed to. And then doesn't comment further. And during the two songs, first of all, the first one is World Is Mine, which is one of the most famous Miku songs in existence. And it's amazing because during the song, both Yachiyo and Kaguya basically just circle Iroha and flirt with her.
Yeah. And it's even funnier because the context of the song, it's basically about a bratty princess trying to get her lover to notice her and giving them rules on how to worship her.
Yep. And that's the title, Cosmic Princess Kaguya. But she only wants to be Iroha's princess. She doesn't want to be everybody's princess.
Yep.
And it goes, Yachiyo just wants to feed off this energy because she's just a menace.
It's so funny. Like, we get a bit where Yachiyo is just cuddling up to Iroha. Iroha is just, just fumes coming out of her. Her face is all red. And then Kaguya just walks up to her and just goes, no! Tries to pull her away and then falls to the ground. Like, this whole sequence is so great. There's even, like, one little dance that Kaguya does that I love, where she's kind of, like, putting her hands together going, eh.
There's the gif. Because you can't see that because this is audio. Anyway, so the song concludes, and what happens after the song?
And then We get a true declaration of love right here. Like, Kaguya says, I love you, Iroha.
Yes, she says, I love you, Iroha. Iroha's baffled by this. And then Kaguya goes, I should just marry you. And Iroha gets more embarrassed. And then it cuts to end the game. And then Kaguya goes, oh, is that a no? And then Iroha just goes, well, if you pay for your bills, I guess.
Yeah, it's official.
Yep. She flat out says yes to a marriage proposal.
Yeah, I love that. Like, she doesn't do a thing like marriage. That's stupid. Why are you talking like this? Just goes, well, I mean, we could do that.
Yep. And the whole time, Yachiyo's just on the corner, just kind of playing to the crowd.
Yeah. Just, I'll leave you two to have some time to yourselves.
Yep. So, there's also something that also happens after Kaguya declares her love. The little bracelet on Kaguya that is the only thing that she has from the moon starts to glow. And what happens?
And then that's when we get these little moon creatures coming into Tsukiyomi and approach Kaguya, trying to basically capture her. And then it gets to a really interesting moment where they're trying to defend Kaguya against these moon people, and then Yachiyo steps in and just goes, not right now.
Yeah, she literally just flicks her hand and makes the moon people just fly off, because she's the administrator. She owns this land. So they apologize to Yachiyo and go away, but they give her a date, the next full moon, and Kaguya starts to realize her time is coming up, and she tries to basically do as much as she can with the time she has. She starts making more complicated dishes, starts filleting an entire fish on her own, starts making ramen from scratch. So,
and there's also a really interesting bit where Iroha leaves, and then Kaguya doesn't want to go with her, or doesn't, like, beg her to stay. Just goes, all right, bye.
Yes, because Kaguya doesn't want to have that deep connection anymore because she's about to leave. She doesn't want to hurt Iroha. She wants to slowly start fading away now.
Yep, and she wants Iroha to also get used to the fact that I'm not going to be around anymore, so don't expect me to be by your side.
Yes, which is extra sad because people think that Kaguya is just this big idiot. But no, Kaguya is very intelligent, but she wants to cut loose because on her old life, she was just this big, monotonous, ever-working, just nothingness.
Yeah, the moon is boring, and even in the Ghibli version, they also get that over when Kaguya in that talks about how the moon is very, like, dark and sterile, and the reason why she wants to come to Earth is to enjoy the lush greenery, the nature, like, everything about it.
Yes, and while this Kaguya doesn't care as much about nature, she cares about the people on the world. She wants to make connections with Iroha, Mami, Mikado, everybody. So, that's why she starts to stream. And now, she has to basically graduate and announces her graduation. Which also ties in nicely with the whole, oh, your kids are gonna grow up super fast thing, because VTubers don't tend to last very long.
No, it's like especially once they reach, like, a certain age, that's when it's like, okay, I'm done being a VTuber. I'm just gonna go out into the real world and just be a regular person.
Yeah, because most VTubers don't make it. Sure, we got some that have been here for years, but most of them don't make it that long.
Yeah, and also, more often than not, part of the reason why they need to graduate and go back out into the real world is they just want to live normal lives and also start families.
Yeah, because it's hard to be a family person and be a VTuber.
Mm-hmm.
So, what happens when Mami and Roka pull Iroha into the virtual world?
This is when they give her the idea that there's going to be a Firework Festival coming into the real world. And then Iroha was thinking like, oh, do you two want to go? And then the both of them say, actually, we both have plans, but why don't you go take Kaguya?
Yep. And then Iroha goes downstairs where Kaguya is still filleting this fish, takes her phone out, shows the firework ad on it, and goes, play with me.
Play with me? Possible? It's so cute!
Because Iroha has never asked Kaguya out anywhere. Like, Kaguya had to force Iroha to play games with her with that dumb marriage proposal thing.
But here, Iroha finally coming out a bit more, coming out of her shell, learning to talk about what she wants. And she's just thinking, you know what? I want to go spend some time with Kaguya at this Fireworks Festival, so come on a date with me?
Yep, so they go to the Fireworks Festival, and it's so cute because to this point, Iroha has never worn anything besides her pajamas, or her work uniform, or her school uniform. And now she's wearing this beautiful, like, was it yukata or kimono?
Yukata.
Yukata. So they're both in yukatas. Her hair is all styled, and she looks all embarrassed, but Kaguya calls her beautiful.
It's so sweet. And also, another detail is that I've noticed that in the fireworks state, the little bags under Iroha's eyes are, like, less pronounced.
Yes, because she's focusing less on school and more on Kaguya. It's so freaking cute. So, when they get to the Firework Festival, they sit on a blanket and watch the fireworks go by, and then they start having a deep conversation where Kaguya's detailing what the moon is like, where there's no temperature and there's no taste, which is why Kaguya loves food so much. She's never tasted any before. Her first meal was, well, first of all, that milk she bought her as a baby, but then the omurice, which she loved.
And that's what basically turned her into, like, this big connoisseur of, like, all things food. And anytime she cooks, she always wants to make, like, the best, most fanciest food ever, you know. Price be damned, I want to make sure that me and Iropi are, like, eating the best food possible.
Yes. That's how she shows her love. It's acts of service. Anyways, so Kaguya declares that everyone on Earth is so free, but they're still holding themselves back from more important things, like what Iroha was doing. She was suppressing her own desires to play the keyboard, to go out with her friends, just so she could get into this university that she had no clear direction for. She didn't have any particular career in mind. She just wanted to get into Tokyo U because that's where her mother supposedly wanted.
Yep, just, it's the best school with the best people, the best teachers, best everything. All right, if that's what you want, I guess.
Yes, whereas Kaguya had to live that life for however long she's been alive, we don't know. But then when she saw Earth, she saw this just melting pot of randomness. It's not this big ordered machine that she was in. Everybody was pursuing their own goals. Everybody was laughing. Everybody was crying. Everybody was living their best free lives. And it was beautiful. So she escaped to Earth for that reason.
Yeah, and she gets that a lot in Tsukiyomi because you don't get more colorful than that world right there.
So, Iroha is asked by Kaguya, "Do you hate your mom?" And Iroha reflects on this, and she goes, "I wish I did," but she doesn't. And poor Kaguya is probably thinking about her own soon departure, because it's not explicitly said, but it's implied that the people coming to get Kaguya might be her mother's people.
Yeah. Like, going ahead, there is a moment where she looks at one of the people that is bringing her back, and it looks very, feminine, like an adult woman.
Mm-hmm. So, a little speculation on there. So, this Firework Festival, Iroha just tells her, "So run away again after you're taken away." This is a beautiful role reversal, because at the start, Kaguya was the one who was saying, "I don't want a bad end. I want to write my own destiny," all this stuff. But she learned from Iroha to be, a little bit more responsible, be a little more like her original moon self, which she was trying to suppress for a bit. Whereas Iroha is telling Kaguya, "Run away again, do what you can to stay here." So they're basically at flopped positions in the story.
Yeah, I love that. Iroha doesn't want to live without Kaguya, and Kaguya, remembering what Iroha has taught her, and also remembering back to the original tale of the bamboo cutter, and realizing that this story is following exactly how that story is going to end. So that's when she realizes, well, there's no use fighting fate. That Kaguya didn't, so why should I?
Mm-hmm. She doesn't feel confident she can defy the fates coming for her.
Yep, she knows exactly how strong the people of the moon are, so why fight against that?
So this is also a tragic part, because when the fireworks show ends, the two link hands very tenderly and sit there until probably an hour after everybody's left the park, and they say, "We should head home soon, while we still can."
God, and there's even a bit where Iroha just clenches her fingers, like, even harder when that happens.
Yes, so this starts the final preparations for the concert, because Kaguya wants this to be a big party when she leaves. She wants people to see the dramatic departure of Kaguya, because she made herself into this big star.
Which is also unlike the original tale, where when the moon people show up, they put everyone to sleep. Whereas here, everyone is wide awake and seeing everything that goes down here.
Yes, so they go to Tsukuyomi and set up this big crowd viewing area around the Kasen arena where they fought Mikado and people. And everybody that Kaguya has made friends with, Mikado, his boys, Mami, Roka, Iroha, everybody is there, and they say, we will defend you when the moon people come. And Iroha says, there will be no bad ends, not on my watch.
Which is great. Like, she's learning from Kaguya right there that maybe you can fight against fate and not have a bad ending.
Yes, because now she has to defend something that she loves. She's found something that she wants to fight for.
This is what she wants, and what she wants is Kaguya to stay with her.
Yes, I love that. So Kaguya declares, you're all so free to all the people on Earth. She loves them so much, despite only being there for a couple months, maybe?
Yeah, tops.
So she starts to sing her departure song while the moon people show up, and this massive battle starts, and it's amazing.
It is the sickest scene in the whole film. Like, oh my god. Like, take the fight between Iroha and Kaguya and Black Onyx earlier in the film, and then crank that up to 11 with this scene.
Mm-hmm. So everybody gets taken out besides Mikado and Iroha, and they just get surrounded eventually. So Kaguya descends into the temple and puts on a very Kaguya-esque outfit, where it's all like silks. She's wearing like a moon charm. She looks very much like what you would expect Princess Kaguya to look like. And the big mother figure and her posse join her, bow, and Kaguya says, I'm sorry for leaving like that, but I had a very, very good time. And then she gets on, and she starts to leave. And then they put the robe on her so she forgets everything that happened on Earth. And that's it.
That's the end.
So before this point, before they flat out dematerialize, Kaguya leans against Iroha and just goes, Iroha, I love you. And that's her last words to anybody on Earth.
Yeah, and also I love the earlier line where she says, your face is so beautiful, I fell in love at first sight.
Yes, even as a baby, she still remembers what Iroha looked like. The love that she showed to baby Kaguya. Like, she showed what humanity's kindness is.
Like, she wouldn't be who she is now without that love, without her finding her in that pole, and also that little moment of just, like, cuddling her when she was like a little baby, getting her to grow up.
Mm-hmm. Because of that kindness, you made Kaguya just adore humanity.
And also, like, the scene after that, it's so heartbreaking. Just, they all realize, like, well, she's gone. We lost. Iroha leaves without saying much else. Just takes off her headphones, just goes around her dark, empty apartment. And it's so sad. It's so heartbreaking. The little detail where she just, like, passes by all the cupboards and just opens them up, just in the hopes that maybe Kaguya is playing a joke on her. Because she remembers earlier from the film.
Yep, she was in the cupboards once, and now she wants to do that. And Iroha starts to think, oh, she was a burden, she was obnoxious, she was selfish, and still just breaks out crying when she gets a notification on her phone saying, here's the money I owe you. Sorry for the trouble. So Kaguya still felt like a burden to some extent for taking Iroha's money.
Yeah, it's so sad. And also, well, Bamboo Cutter, here is your money that you now have. But it's like, I don't want this right now. I wanted you.
Iroha flat out says, you idiot. You think I'm going to spend this?
Yeah. It's so sad.
She asked for money and she got money.
But at this point, like, she's grown as a person. She's been through so much that it's not what she wants anymore.
Yes, so she basically falls into a depression, just staying at home for days on end, just letting her lifestyle decay around her, not going to school, not going to work, nothing. And then one day, she just kind of gets up, does a Magical Girl twist, has a uniform on, and goes to school, where she apologizes to Mommy and Roka, who at this point, as I alluded to earlier, say, we're about to break into your apartment for you not answering our texts. Because they were thinking it was going to do something she couldn't take away.
Yep, because that's what she was thinking. That's what they were telling Kaguya about earlier when they thought, oh, she would have disappeared if you hadn't shown up.
Yep, so Iroha starts to walk home, just kind of looks at the sky, and Yachiyo narrates, and Iroha went back to her normal life.
And we see a shot of Kaguya in the sky, like Mufasa in The Lion King. She's joined the circle of life, the moon of life.
Yep, and then it goes to the end credits of Netflix, and, very sad end, right? I like this Black Onyx concert that came up.
I'll grab the remote right now. Wait, why is there still more movie? This isn't the menu. What's going on?
That's right, this isn't the
end! No, this isn't Happily Ever After. Which, I fucking adore that fake out so much.
You reached for the remote, but then we saw there was more movie.
Yeah, it got us. I was like, well, I guess that's to be expected. It is a tragedy after all. Wait, this is that the video's still playing. This isn't the actual menu. What's going on here?
And then Iroha goes, no, this isn't the end. So Iroha rushes back to the school, takes her decision to go to a law school from the counselor saying, I need more time to think about this, runs back home, and starts basically forming a new song and rebuilding her life.
Yeah. Like, she is going to fight for her happy end no matter what now.
Yes, so she calls her mom finally and arranges a meeting with her because Iroha can finally empathize with her mother, who also lost the person that she loved.
Yeah.
Where Kaguya is gone now, the person that Iroha loved, whereas her mother lost her husband, the person she loved. They can have common ground now.
They can empathize, and also now Iroha realizes what her mother has been doing this whole time. She wanted her to stand up for herself, and she finally is. And her mother is like, I knew you could do it.
Yep, she is so happy that Iroha is fighting for something now. So they meet up, they have a nice talk, even though Iroha is so annoyed because her mother is just so happy for her.
So what's his name?
Oh, I'm sure she knows it's a girl.
She's just thinking, I knew it.
Yep, so eventually Iroha completes the song that she made with her dad. And she takes the song with the bracelet on a full moon and starts to sing it. And how does this relate to Kaguya?
So at the end of the original Bamboo Cutter, when the Emperor gets the note that he wants to send out to Kaguya, he has one of his servants go to the highest mountain in all of the land, and then burn that, and also bury this everlasting life elixir with it too, which immortal in Japanese is also Fushi, which then goes to Fuji, which is why Mount Fuji is called Fuji.
Mm-hmm.
So that smoke, that burned note to Kaguya is meant to reach up and reach out to her. And Iroha is doing the exact same thing here, but with the song, with the music. The notes are going up to the sky, to the moon, reaching out to Kaguya.
Yes, because they're in this big high-rise apartment, really high up in the air, and her song is going through the bracelet all the way to the moon. And we get a cut where it's kind of like an old computer, where Kaguya is on the moon with this very Japanese estate around her that looks like a Ghibli Kaguya scene. There's no light in her eyes. She's just writing on a scroll of paper. She hears the song, and then life slowly comes back into her eyes, and then she smiles and goes, Iroha!
It is such a good little animation detail, because we zoom in on her eyes, they are blank, and then she blinks, and you just see, like, the little lights in her eyes just come back. It's such a cool detail.
She regained her memories through song. It's so good!
Yeah, and also, I love how that also fights back against the original tale, because in the Ghibli film, there's a bit where Kaguya is talking about how there was another woman who just came back from Earth, and how she is basically staying out on the porch of the estate, looking out into space, looking at Earth, and is just crying, but doesn't know why. So we can assume that she lost her memories too, and that there's no way to reverse it. But here, we found a way to reverse the memory loss.
Yep, so Kaguya finishes her work, boards a pod, and shoots her way back to Earth. So, let's take a little interlude, Mikey.
Yeah, let's talk about, since we brought it up multiple times, let's talk about Vocaloids.
That's right. So, okay, we're both ex-Sekai people, so we know a little bit about what we're talking about. So, Vocaloids are a voice bank used to create singing or talking voices. You can do either way. And it was popularized by Hatsune Miku. You've heard about her. Let's just move on.
You definitely know. And also, to anyone out there who believes that Miku was the first one, turns out she actually isn't, because it is actually Meiko and Kaito who were the first ones. And if you play Sekai and you notice any scenes with them and that their voices sound like a little older and crunchier, that's why, because they are the oldest versions of the Vocaloids before it was perfected by Miku.
Yep, but she was definitely the breakout star where everybody knows her. So, popularized by Hatsune Miku, and every Vocaloid artist uses Miku as a means to tell their own stories and songs, and every Miku is their own. There is no personality to Miku. It's whatever you put onto her. She is simply a voice you can use for your own stories, your own songs, whatever. That's why there's no official Vocaloid, say, book that you can read.
Mm-hmm. And that's also why in Sekai, with each of the different Sekais, there is a different version of Miku and the other Vocaloid cast with each of the groups. So that's why we have, Leonid, your version of Miku is part of a girl band. More Jump, your Miku is an idol. Nightcord, your Miku is super depressed.
Yeah, because it's more than that, because the Vocaloids of Sekai are based on the people who are in that Sekai, where, say, the Miku in Nightcord, she is depressed and monotone because Mafuyu is so repressed by her own mother. Or just kind of grumpy, the Mako, because Aina is grumpy like her. They each are formed from the people who put their emotions into them. So, they're basically immortalizing themselves as artists through Miku. Because whatever song they make is on a list of Miku songs, or Len songs, or Kaito songs, or whatever you used.
Yep, it's their voices, but it's your story, your interpretation that she is speaking for.
Yep, so with that said, let's talk about Yachiyo.
Yeah, the mysterious Yachiyo, who has been lording herself over the story, but up to this point, we never really know much about, other than you're the ruler of Tsukuyomi, you have a million different versions of yourself, you've been around for 8,000 years supposedly, you're supposedly an AI, and also you're Iroha's Oshi.
Yep, and for people who don't know, Oshi basically is like your favorite person. You say it in idols a lot, saying, Nico is my Oshi, or this person's my Oshi, and then you talk to people who also Oshi them, and there's fandom and all that stuff.
That's where Oshinoko comes from.
Yep, this is my favorite person's child. Anyways, so Yachiyo, eventually Iroha discovers that the song that Yachiyo made that saved Iroha's life before the story even started uses the beginning of the song that Iroha made with her father. And how would Yachiyo have that?
Yeah, and also, I love that little mystery that they put with that song, because there's a moment where Iroha is working on the song based on the sample that she and her dad made. She notices, wait a minute, this little tune here sounds familiar, and it's the tune that goes da 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 da.
Yep. So Iroha realizes, wait a minute, Yachiyo, is she Kaguya? And then she tries to track down Yachiyo, but she's not taking any messages right now. So she eventually tracks down Fushi, who takes her through real life, through her little contact AR things, to a tiny apartment where, what do they find?
They find a room full of computers and all kinds of technology, all connected to this giant bamboo shoot in a pod. And also, we even see a tank that has the real Fushi in it, the little animal that became Fushi.
Yep, so she logs into Tsukuyomi from here and finds Yachiyo, who reveals herself as Kaguya, but 8,000 years older, because when she came back to Earth, she finished her work in such a speed, but even though to her it was so quick, on Earth, Iroha was already an old woman.
She would have been bamboo cutter age by that point.
Yes. Kaguya thinks to herself, oh, I'll use time magic to shoot myself back to when she was still a child. So she does, and then she hits an asteroid, which knocks her pod off, and lands on Earth 8,000 years in the past.
And also damages her pod to the point where she can't escape it physically.
Yes, so she only has enough time, or not time, but energy, to make Fushi a body, this tiny little slug body. And for reference here, Fushi is Inu Doge, her little Tamagotchi she got from Earth.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like, this little insignificant Tamagotchi that she buys early on in the film ends up being a really important part of Yachiyo.
Yes, so Inu Doge is given a real consciousness, which allows Kaguya to see the world and interact with the world, but she has no voice of her own anymore. So Fushi goes onto land as this little sea slug and basically learns about every person throughout history for Kaguya to listen to. No matter what people they met, they gave their stories to Fushi, and we see her go through time and slowly start to become modern society.
And also, during this time, while also learning to connect with, like, the people around her through Fushi is also spreading her story to people, and then we can imply that that's how we got the original tale of Princess Kaguya, because Fushi told someone about it.
And the story just became just how it is, just through people giving oral accounts.
Yeah. like a game of telephone here.
Mm-hmm. So, Fushi gathers all those stories of people, meets so many people throughout history, just like kind of Miku does, and we see at one point Kaguya inside the bamboo, just trapped in there, wanting to meet Yachiyo because, well, to her, the only people that were this old are Yachiyo, because that was part of her lore. And then when the internet comes on and she starts to make Tsukuyomi, she thinks to herself, oh, I'll become Yachiyo.
Yeah, she's looking like, where's Yachiyo? I need to find Yachiyo. Oh, I'm Yachiyo.
She has changed this much since she last saw Iroha. 8,000 years.
That's insane. And then that leads to the creation of Tsukuyomi, and also the creation of Yachiyo, the idol that everyone knows, and that leads to her making the debut song, which uses the tune from Kaguya's graduation song, which is the tune from Iroha and her father's song that they never finished.
Yes, the song that would save Iroha when she was at her lowest and started to Oshi Yachiyo.
And it's also the first song she ever sang to little baby Kaguya when she first met her to calm her down.
This song has a big cycle, and it is beautiful.
Yeah, when we first saw this, like, it was mind-blowing. Just like, oh my god, like, you went through all of this. This is insane.
So, Yachiyo admits that she's an old lady now, looks at Iroha, and just goes, I messed up, which I think is beautiful, because even though Yachiyo had this much suffering, this is still through her own decision. She had a human mistake. She misjudged the trajectory, hit the asteroid, and landed 8,000 years in the past. That is still her decision. That means she is more human than she was when she left the first time.
Yes, because the first time around, she was able to nail it. But here, she made a human error. She made a mistake.
Yes, which I think goes into why the Moon people wanted to take her away. When she said, I love you to Iroha, I think they were thinking, you are becoming too human. You will not come back on your own accord. We need to take you away now, or else you will change too much.
Yep, you won't be the same Kaguya you once knew, and you're not going to be useful for us.
Mm-hmm.
In this weird moon society where everything is, like, electronic.
Yeah, we get the impression the moon is some weird machine that's working for some reason. We don't see much of it, and we don't need to, honestly.
Honestly, yeah, it's just one of those things like, oh, it's fun to think about, but not important to the story.
Yep. So, Yachiyo just tells Iroha, you can forget about this if you want to. It's all a story. She doesn't want to impose on Iroha. But Iroha still stomps away and goes, I need to see all of Kaguya. Tell me everything.
Yeah, and it leads to a really great scene where we get a montage of what happened with Kaguya all those 8,000 years, like, told by Fushi to Iroha.
So, now that we know who Yachiyo is, let's talk about some of the major points that she made throughout the story. Like you said, the song that helped Iroha until Kaguya arrived, and also, one thing that that was pointed out to me, the song that saved Iroha is 168 BPM, which in Japanese is Ich Roku Hachi Iroha.
Yeah, that's amazing. The beats per minute is her name.
And the director pointed this out, so this is official. This is not an accident.
Yeah, not speculation or anything like that. He's like, yo, yeah, I totally did this.
And also, I love this because Yachiyo held back on involving herself with Iroha. Even though she waited 8,000 years for Iroha, she knew Kaguya only had that few months' time on Earth, so she let her make those bonds with Iroha.
Yeah, like, I love that. Especially when we have that moment where Kaguya declares that she's going to win the Yachiyo Cup, and then Yachiyo goes to greet them. She hugs them both as if, like, I'm so happy to see you both together. And then that's when she takes her step back.
Yes, and also, this indicates that the Yachiyo Cup was, from the start, a way for Yachiyo to basically manipulate Iroha and Kaguya into becoming better friends, and eventually more than that, because she knew that Kaguya didn't have much time here. So, for the short time, Kaguya needed to make the biggest mark on Earth that she could, and that was making a streamer.
Yep, and also why she may have been in cahoots with Mikado, because at that point, they're both helping each other out. Yachiyo gets a chance to get these two to get closer together, and Mikado gets a chance to help his little sister stand up for herself.
Yeah, so it was a win-win. So I assume at some point, Yachiyo went to Mikado, told him kinda that she knew Iroha, and they came up with this plan together.
Which, by the way, I love how, with that information, it makes rewatches of this movie even better. Because you can point out all the little details of, like, oh, you foreshadowed that from the beginning. It's like, say, watching Madoka Magica and noticing, like, all the little hints of, like, what is actually going on here.
Mm-hmm. So, what happens afterwards?
So, after that, after being told this whole story by Yachiyo, and Yachiyo thinking, like, well, we reunited. I'm not the same as I was before, but at least we get to be together. Then Iroha is like, no! This isn't a true happily ever after. This is good. This is better. But let's go one step beyond. Let's go even more. Let's push it. Let's knock it up a notch here.
Yeah, so she graduates high school, and she keeps playing music with Yachiyo, and then she goes into engineering. And she goes into engineering college, and eventually is able to make a robot body. And what happens?
Also, I love that in the lead up to this, we have little tests with the robot body that we have her experimenting on Mommy as like a guinea pig. It's also heavily implied that the squishy little flapjack octopus that she carries around has Fushi in it because we see it blink at one point. And we also see Big Bro, Mikado, and the rest of Black Onyx in real life, which is cool to see. And we also see Noe, the little femme-looking member of the group, and we see them wearing very baggy clothes, baggy shorts, and if you look at their face, it's a lot more feminine compared to the boys. You know, longer eyelashes, pronounced very feminine jawline, and then they go, "Can you make a body based on my avatar?"
Yeah, when Iroha goes, "I need money to make a body for my girlfriend," Noe just goes, "I want a body for my avatar too." So that implies Noe wants to put their consciousness into this very femme body, which in the music video after the show, where it shows basically an epilogue, has a very two-piece bikini on. So that's a femme body. So this person's either an NB or trans femme.
Yeah, and it goes even further because in the dub, Noe is being played by a non-binary actor too, so the connections go even further beyond than what is said in the original story.
Just wanted to point that out because it's so fascinating that in her attempt to make her wife a real body, you're basically giving people the chance to basically transfer their minds into their ideal robot bodies.
Yeah.
So, they eventually get Kaguya back, and this kind of stumped me a little bit because how do we have what seems like original Kaguya and Yachiyo 10 years after everything shook out. And I kind of came up with two possibilities. Either Yachiyo had the memories of Kaguya and just stuffed them into the body, or inside the bamboo shoot, there was just Kaguya in there, and when she uploaded her consciousness to the internet, that became its own separate entity. Because in the music video, after the show stopped, we see them bury the bamboo shoot that was inside the computer room, so whatever was in there is gone now. So I'm guessing inside there was the original Kaguya, and guess she just never changed?
I would buy that one a bit more, especially with them burying it, like how, you bury the elixir and burn the note at the top of Fuji, connected to the original tale of the bamboo cutter. And also, I can also buy that too, because there are points where they say, oh, she is trapped inside of that bamboo shoot, so that's why she has to project herself as Yachiyo in Tsukuyomi to exist.
Yeah, because we know time is weird for her, so maybe inside the bamboo is a lot faster than outside. So Yachiyo had a lot longer to live than maybe Kaguya did.
Yeah, I can totally buy that, and also buy that moon people experience time differently from Earth people, considering that Kaguya was able to get all of her work done, but then it took like several decades in real Earth time.
Mm-hmm. So this leads to a great moment where Kaguya sits up and the trio of them have a dual concert in both Tsukuyomi and the Tokyo Dome, because even after 10 years, when people heard that Kaguya was back, she sold out the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
She made such a big impact. Even 10 years later, people are still showing up for her. That's how much people love her.
I love that. Like, that makes that whole graduation concert mean so much more, because she touched so many lives with all of her streaming and that one big bang of a concert that people still remember her and want to support her again.
Mm-hmm. And a little detail I loved was they're shown in real life, 26-year-old Iroha, Kaguya's also there, and we get a hologram of Yachiyo, which mimics the hologram Miku they use at the concerts, because Yachiyo is Miku.
Yep, and that's the proper version, not the big giant TV that they're trying to push now.
Oh god, I freaking hate that thing. So, knowing all that, there is some debate here between Kaguya and Iroha. Are they a couple, or are they mother-daughter?
So, Yuri or not Yuri? Yuri! Next question.
Kaguya was only a baby for a day or a day and a half. They were the same age and equally socially past that point. If anything, Kaguya acted more of a mother to Iroha than the other way around by cooking her food, by calling in her work when she was sick. Kaguya is a lot more responsible at the outset than people give her credit for.
Mm-hmm. And also, not only in terms of the story was Kaguya a baby for like about a day, but also in real life, in terms of like film runtime, it is only like maybe 5 minutes of screen time. Like, when we watched this for the second time for the podcast, once Kaguya became a teenager, I paused it, looked at the time, and it's like 10 minutes of a 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah, so we don't get much time of Iroha bonding with her as a baby. It is a day.
And since then, since the moment she becomes a teenager and is fully grown, which we also know that the reason why she was a baby is because when she was traveling back to Earth, she had to basically compress her body so that it was able to get to Earth, and then she needed to regain her true form. Like, this teenage form that we see for most of the movie, that is her true form. That is who she actually is.
And that's what she looks like on the moon when she see her.
Exactly. So they are the equals. One is not older than the other. She is not a child, even though she might act immature and bratty. Kaguya is not a baby.
Yeah, it's an act, because she was so pent up on the moon for so long, she wants to cut loose.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that she can't be serious if need be, because when Iroha was sick, she acted like the responsible person by calling in Iroha's work, making her food, doing all she can for Iroha, putting her into bed.
Mm-hmm.
She is responsible, but she's also not the child of Iroha, and Iroha is not the child of Kaguya.
Exactly. They are equals. Separate people, but are equals.
And also, Kaguya expresses her love for Iroha at multiple moments. Here's a slideshow.
It's...
And also, we didn't even mention this before, but they have a special handshake where they tap the tips of their two fingers, then they go in for a scissor motion, which I don't know how you shake your parents' hands, but I don't do that to my mom.
Yeah, I don't walk up to my dad and say, "Scissor me, daddy ass."
And then they do a fox kiss.
Yeah. Like, sure, me being a wrestling fan, looking at those last two, you're probably thinking, "Oh, Mikey, these are just wrestling handshakes. Clearly there is nothing homoerotic about it." Well, the acclaimed Anthony Bowens is an openly gay man, and he and Max Caster started the Scissor Me Timbers thing. Also, the Fox Kiss, it's the Too Sweet, the NWO, the Bullet Club. Bullet Club. These guys have kissed numerous times in and outside the ring and in their storylines. And also, Kenny Omega is openly bisexual. Don't tell me these guys aren't gay.
I'm sure some of them are, but yes, that special handshake has two motions which are very much not platonic.
And also there's a moment where they do the scissor fingers, and then Iroha wraps her index finger extra hard around Kaguya's finger. Like, it's so tender. Like, you do not do this platonically. You do this when you are deeply in love with someone.
And just to reiterate, Kaguya asked to marry Iroha, and Iroha said yes. There was no ambiguity there.
Yeah, Iroha doesn't go like, marriage, can't we just be friends? Or why are you being so weird about that? She's like, well, if you want to help pay the bills and all, I think we can do this.
Yes, so this is a good rule of thumb I live by. If one of the parties was the opposite sex, would we be talking about this?
Exactly, and like, the biggest example I can bring up about this is the film Your Name, which I want to say is a fantastic film, one of my all-time favorites. Anytime I watch it, I cry like a huge babby. But let me ask you this, people. Can you count how many times Taki and Mitsuha kiss in that film? Give up? It's 0. They do not kiss at all in that movie. And also, any declaration of love is not outright said. It is written on someone's hand. But we still look at that and go, oh, this is a beautiful romance between two people. And Iroha and Kaguya do that and so much more. It's one of those things where I get that we want to have like better representation in queer media, but at the same time, when it's giving it to us, like, we need to acknowledge that, yes, you are doing a lot of good here. We don't need like kisses and like any kind of like, things that get sexual or anything like that to show that two people are in love.
Yes, sure, that stuff might be nice, but you can still show intimacy without that stuff. As an openly asexual person, I relate to this.
Exactly. Like, we have a really good relationship, and we don't need any of that extra stuff. We are perfectly fine, and we show each other love through a love language.
So yes, it's a Yuri. Please recognize that. Now that we've established that, let's look at some of our favorite references that the film makes.
Oh, yes. Like, of course, we were talking about The World Is Mine scene, which one is one of the most famous Miku songs, but also when Kaguya falls over, she falls into the pose from the CD cover.
Yes, here's the picture here, and here's comparison. And also, the pink octopus that Yachiyo always has with her. That's a flapjack octopus, which, another name for a pancake, which she adores.
And also, we didn't bring it up, but at the very end, we get a stinger that shows all of Tsukuyomi, and the world is shaped like a giant pancake breakfast.
And also, I don't know if this is intended or not, but the pink octopus could also be a reference to Luca's little pink octopus thing. Here's a picture right here. And I like to think it is because of all the other Vocaloid references.
And of course, Iroha's brother, we talked about how he's definitely a big nerd, considering he's a big professional gamer. He has, like, all of these computer screens watching Kaguya streams, has a little Kaguya plushie. And one thing I noticed is that he has the light tubes that show the world lines, like in Steins Gate. And I'm just like, okay, I can totally buy you're a Steins Gate fan.
Yep, he's a big dork. And also, Kaguya's costume, like we said before, the rabbit ears and the hammer for the mochi, but also the bamboo because she's Princess Kaguya.
Yep, and of course, Rabbit and the Moon. There's a lot of connections between rabbits and moons. See stuff like, say, Sailor Moon with Usagi.
And also, at one point, Kaguya goes, crab, bunny, because some cultures see a crab in the moon. Some cultures see the rabbit in the moon. So she does both of them. And
I also love how the crab thing also comes up with the little bit at the beach where Kaguya says, I'm going to summon a crab army.
And she does, and then attacks Iroha.
Attacks Iroha and chases her into the ocean.
And at the festival, they captured 2 little crabs and put them in little bags.
Yeah.
It's so cute. And also, of course, Kaguya doing Beat Saber during her concert.
Yeah, she gets in on a little action too, and it just straight up turns into Beat Saber.
And at the very end of the film, it wasn't at the start, but now it is the music video for the song Ray. And it shows them burying the bamboo shoot that Kaguya was in at the very end at Mount Fuji as a callback to the note in the original myth where he burns it, and that's supposedly why Mount Fuji is, smoking.
Yep, and where the name Fuji comes from, because Fuji sounds like Fushi, which means immortal. And also, who else is named Fushi? Yachiyo's little pet.
Yep.
That was Inodoge.
Inodoge.
So if any of you out there go up to Mount Fuji, if you ever want to take that hike, you can go up there and pay your respects to our cosmic princess here.
So that wraps up our Cosmic Princess Kaguya discussion.
Yeah, once again, fantastic movie. It's so good. I'm surprised it kind of came out of nowhere, but I'm so glad it came out in general. It's a fantastic way to start off 2026, starting off strong. Like any other anime or film that comes out later this year, you got some stiff competition here.
Yeah, this is easily one of my favorite films of the year so far, and I'm excited to see what else this director makes going forward, because while the original story and the Ghibli ones are beautiful tragedies, it's nice to see a person who was doomed by the narrative still get to be happy in the end, because she has agency. She wasn't had stuff imposed on her. She can be happy.
Yes, and I loved how the messages this film gives. Fighting for what you want to do, standing up for what you want to do, and also making those connections with the people around you, and those connections can build you up and make you into a better person.
Mm-hmm. So don't take the people in your life for granted, because we never know how much time we have on this earth.
Exactly. So, highly recommend, and of course, we've been talking about it too, even though it stays true to the original tale, and we do have some quibbles about the original tale, but, modern sensibilities, what are you going to do? We still highly recommend the Ghibli version, Tale of Princess Kaguya by Isao Takahata. It's a great film and a great lasting piece of a wonderful director who we lost far too soon.
Yes, if you want to see a more truthful adaptation to it, or more faithful, I should say, go watch that one. It is beautiful. The animation is amazing. And yeah, these are two good companion pieces in my opinion.
Have yourself a little bit of a double feature.
But yeah, that's about it for us.
So thank you all for listening. I've been one of your hosts, Mikey Shiota, and you can find me at my social medias at MikeyShiota.bisky.social. And where can we find you, Miss Prism?
IscoPrism.bisky.social.
And follow our shows, Bisky, at asabrigade.bisky.social. Also sub to us on YouTube, give us a like, and talk about the film in the comments right here. What do you think about it? Did you know anything about the original Tale of the Bamboo Cutter? What do you think of the Ghibli version of Tale of Princess Kaguya? We'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yes, I will spawn a comment, so see you down there.
And next time, we got another big one coming up, something that really hits closer home to me personally, as next time, we're going to ride on Shooting Star, and we're going to talk about all the highs, lows, and creamy middles of Fooly Cooly.
With a certain special guest, so look forward to that.
But until then, it's a goodbye from me, Mikey Shiota, and a goodbye from
IscoPrism.
And we'll see you next time here at the ASA Brigade.
Bye!